Have you ever been told that your thyroid labs are normal, but you still feel exhausted? You can't lose weight. You're foggy and you feel like your metabolism has completely slowed down. And you're still thinking something is definitely off, but every test you do says it's fine. If this has been your experience, you are not imagining it. And today I want to show you one of the most overlooked reasons why this happens and why it often has less to do with your thyroid function and more to do with your mineral balance. If we haven't met yet, I'm Dariella. I'm a registered dietitian and a functional medicine practitioner. And I help women in midlife understand what's really going on in their bodies, especially when their labs don't match how they feel. Now, this is something I see all the time. Women go to their doctor with a long list of symptoms. They get a bunch of tests done, especially their thyroid, and they're told everything looks great. Everything's in normal range. And yet their body feels slow, tired, puffy, off. They leave feeling even more frustrated. And this is where I personally, as a practitioner, like to zoom out a little bit because your thyroid does not work in isolation. Your thyroid is actually super sensitive to your nervous system, to stress, to your nutrition, and something that almost never gets talked about, your minerals. So let's talk about what this can actually look like. Because if you've been feeling like your thyroid's off, you might recognize some of these symptoms. You feel tired no matter how much you sleep. Your hands or feet are always cold. Your digestion feels slow or you get constipated pretty often. Your hair is starting to get thinner or you're noticing it falling out. You're gaining weight easier or it's just not coming off no matter what you do. Or maybe your brain feels foggy and just like you're processing things slower than you used to. But yet again, you're told that everything is normal. But your symptoms are real, and often there's a missing piece, a missing layer underneath them. Now, one of the most common patterns I see in midlife is a mineral imbalance, specifically a pattern of high tissue calcium and low potassium. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the science behind it necessarily, because I don't need you to complicate it to the point that you don't understand. But here's a really simple way to think about it. Calcium is a very stabilizing mineral. It slows things down. It helps the body feel more protected. While potassium, on the other hand, is a little more activating. It supports energy, metabolism, and how your cells actually respond to signals in the body. So a simple way to picture this is calcium is like a brake pedal, while potassium is your gas pedal. And when the two of those minerals get out of balance, especially if calcium's too high or potassium's too low, your body's going to shift into a slower, more energy conserving state, which can feel just like hypothyroidism. And this is where it gets really interesting because your thyroid hormones might actually be there. Your labs might show that your body is actually producing them just fine, but your cells may not be responding to them very well. So this is not always a thyroid hormone production problem. It's actually more of a communication problem inside your body driven by a mineral imbalance. Now, this pattern doesn't just happen randomly. It is often driven by stress. In midlife, your body becomes way more sensitive to stress, whether that's emotional stress, lack of sleep, under eating, over exercising, or just the mental overload that we all carry at this stage of life. And that stress directly impacts your mineral balance. Over time, your body's going to start holding on to calcium in the tissues because it's a protective mechanism. It's also going to start burning up potassium quicker because you're in that stressed out state. So when this happens, your body shifts into that more protective mode and your minerals get very out of balance. That's going to feel like a slower metabolism, lower energy levels, reduced responsiveness. So your thyroid hormones literally can't do their job when your minerals are out of balance. This is also why so many women feel like their body just isn't responding the way that it used to. So you're making the diet changes, you're exercising, you're buying all these expensive supplements, and yet nothing's really working that well. And that's because the underlying imbalance going on in your body is not being addressed. And the hard part is that none of this usually shows up on standard lab tests. Because when you look at calcium and potassium on a normal blood test, they're just looking at what's in the blood, not what's in your cell. So it doesn't give you the full picture of what's going on in your body. So you're told that everything's fine. And then you start questioning yourself, but your body is actually giving you very clear signals that something's wrong. We just have to start learning how to interpret them. Okay, so what actually helps? Number one, start eating more mineral-rich foods, especially potassium-rich foods. This is literally one of the biggest issues I see with women in midlife. They are unintentionally under-consuming potassium-rich foods. And this usually happens because you're trying to lose weight, so you're cutting out your carbs. And guess what? Most potassium-rich foods are carbs. Potatoes, bananas, beans, dairy products like yogurt all have a lot of potassium in them. But if you're like, I can't eat carbs, so you start cutting all these foods out, you're not just cutting the carbs, you've now cut your potassium. Over time, that can really contribute to that low energy, that slowed metabolism, that hypothyroid feeling state. At the same time, women often do the opposite with calcium. They're either taking a calcium supplement, or maybe you get reflux, so you're just popping Tums or something that has calcium in it, or even taking a high dose vitamin D for way too long. All of these can increase your calcium levels and create too much absorption in the tissues. So now you have more calcium coming in, not enough potassium, and you're going to create this imbalance in your body. Now, remember what we talked about earlier. Calcium acts more like a brake, while potassium acts more like the gas. So if calcium is higher and potassium is lower, your system can feel very slow, stiff, sluggish, fatigued, less responsive. So instead of focusing on what you need to cut out, I want you to start thinking about what you need to add back in. Now, I don't have the time to go this in super depth with this, but I created a masterclass called the Mineral and Metabolism Masterclass, where I go in depth on all the major minerals like calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. I go deeper on how the calcium and potassium relationship interact with the body and how to recognize if this pattern is affecting you so that you can support your body, replete it appropriately, and feel better again. So you can grab the free masterclass using the link down below. And just remember, if your energy feels really low, your metabolism's slower, even with normal labs, there might be a missing layer. So start getting more minerals in, watch the masterclass, and I will see you in the next video.